Ready? How about that? That's legislative style, and the chair is ready, so everybody's got to be quiet because we do not have a microphone.
And I have a sore throat, so we're going to try the best we can. First, I'd like to say good morning, everybody. I'll call this recommending committee meeting of May 15th to order. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are.
This meeting has been posted in various locations throughout the city. I believe I can go to the first meeting item on the agenda now. The subject is bill number 2017-14. It updates various provisions of the LDMC chapters 14.08, 14.10, and 14.11, which pertain to water use and conservation.
Oh, yeah, do we have to open public comment first?
No,
Okay.
we do not. Okay, so first I'd like to have Val, would you please explain the bill and give a lot of understanding to all of us here.
Okay, I'm going to turn that over to Dave Bowers.
Good morning, Chairwoman. My name is David Bowers, Director of Public Works, and it's a pleasure to speak with you this morning about this bill.
Okay. Excuse me back there. Ray, what is your hand up for?
I'll tell you, I have my hand up in the air because after talking to a few people back here, it is very, very clear that there are some people here that are wearing T-shirts that don't understand why they are here, and there are some people here that are wearing T-shirts.
Kathleen, that's out of order.
Kathleen,
that's out of order.
Please.
Okay,
The proponents for the bill are going to speak first, so
Kathleen.
Real interest.
Kathleen, hold it. Just a minute. Kathleen, I understand that. I understand the fact that these shirts were purchased by someone very interested in keeping up a big business that they have. But
she's out of order. And
honey, you're out of order. I can't do anything about it.
You can't hear because there's bought and paid for audience in here.
I understand. I'm going to tell you something. If you can't be polite, if you can't be, Kathleen, be quiet. If you can't be,
evacuated.
if you can't be quiet in here, I'm going to ask anybody who's rowdy to be removed. Let's give everybody a chance. Okay, go ahead.
Let me speak out. My voice is still pretty good. Kathleen Carr, you are out of order, but listen to me. The way this is going to work, the chair has ruled that people who are for this bill will speak first. And after that, anybody else can speak. But remember, we have a First Amendment, and it includes wearing shirts. So, I'm not intimidated by a T-shirt, for God's sake. Well, it depends.
And now we're going to have David Bowers go through the information pertaining to the water item that we have.
There's no microphone.
There's no mic.
Why don't we have a microphone in a city this great?
Why don't you shut up? You're out of order. You know me. I know you, you character. So look,
As a
This
city, I
is-
think we should be a little...
we are recording. I know, but we are recording. Do not press the chairwoman's patience.
We're an
Anybody.
item one, tell them.
She will put you in jail. I know she will personally. So it is being recorded. Witnesses are encouraged to speak up.
Why don't we have a mic?
Well, we can get one during the time this is being presented.
Let's have this, and I'm trying to get a mic right now because you're absolutely right. They should have had a mic. So we'll go through this first, though, so we don't use a whole lot of time. He does not have a sore throat, so he'll do a good job.
And Joey, we spent a week in Philly together. God knows. We know. Okay.
Thank you, Chairwoman. As I indicated, these modifications in this ordinance are pretty straightforward. What we're trying to do is come together as an entire community. All the other entities, North Las Vegas, Henderson, Clark County, are adopting these same ordinances, basically to eliminate watering on Sundays. And then the second issue is the fountain ordinance, a small modification. The amount of water you're able to have for a fountain for a resident or commercial property is basically staying the same. We're just modifying our fee from $10 to $40 per square foot when you first apply for the permit.
Are you saying the water, the people who already have water fountains at their home?
Yes, if they've
Have
already
to
been
reapply?
permitted, there's no issue, nothing changes with those. It's just when you first apply for that permit.
I see,
The
okay.
fees change slightly.
So, okay, thank you very much.
I requested this bill by the staff asked me to introduce the bill.
And it is, did you want to make any comments pertaining to it?
I'm just in favor of it. I think it'll work well. And as you said, it is to help create uniformity amongst water use ordinances across the valley. All right. Any other witnesses on this bill?
Are there any comments from the audience? Anybody wish to make a comment on this? Anybody else wish to be heard? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I move for approval of bill number 2017-14.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion carries. We will then move to item number 2.
Councilwoman,
3?
you might have to stand up.
That's all right, I don't care.
Well, let's keep moving with our water bills.
Go ahead, you take that
that's
while I
it?
get this
Yeah, we got
fixed.
one more. Okay, Chair has asked me to take over briefly. We now have bill number 2017-15 up for hearing, another water bill for possible action. Updates the city's regulations governing stormwater and stormwater management, sponsored by Bob Coffin, by request of the city staff. And we have a witness in favor, Dave Bowers, from city staff. Please speak.
Thank you, Councilman Coffin. David Bowers, Director of Public Works. And what this stormwater quality issue does for this ordinance is basically allows us to enforce the permit requirements we have within the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection. We basically have agreed to enforce certain items to make sure that our stormwater is protected, that we're not putting silt and other sediments down into our Las Vegas Wash and ultimately Lake Mead. And what this does is gives us authority to enforce the requirements that we promised that we would take care of.
I think enough people could understand the intent of this bill. It is to keep the water clean that is going down the storm drains to the lake to come into your tap at your house. Is anybody opposed to that? Raise your hands if you're opposed to that. And then if you're for it, of course, you can come up and testify on it too.
They can't, you stand up, please.
It's the stormwater, Yeah, this bill is about stormwater, to keep it clean. Your drains. It's to help us. Thank you very much. Is there any other testimony? Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We've heard the end of the testimony. I now move in favor of passage of Senate Bill 2017-15.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda
Shall we take 6 out of order?
is, why would you do that?
No, it's non-controversial. We could do that. So the folks can...
We almost have this ready to go. We are going to, I'm going to take an item out of order until this is fixed so that we can hear everybody on the item that you're all here for.
Okay, here.
And,
Let me try talking in it and see.
hello? Is this better? Yay, yay. All right, let's take this item number 6 just quickly. It is bill number 2017, adopt certain development agreements entitled Cooperative Campus Development Agreement. And Val, would you like to make some comments on that?
Yes, Val Steed, Deputy City Attorney, this,
Val, you have to come to the mic.
Councilwoman, did you want to
That's good, thank you, that's fine.
Val Steed, Deputy City Attorney. This development agreement with the College of Southern Nevada was approved at a previous council meeting. This is the formal ordinance required to adopt it so that it can be recorded. We recommend approval.
Are there any comments from the audience? Any comments from our members here? Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
How about you? Are you?
Aye, aye.
All right. The motion passes, and just in time, we have a mic. And so
We're going
that's
to get
good.
more. We're trying to get more. This is not, normally we don't have 100 people here.
In fact, I thought we should have had this in our main city hall room, but they did it differently, and there's nothing I can do about that now. We will now move to item number 5, which is amends the city's licensing and zoning regulations, and I wonder if perhaps we could have you speak on that.
So we've got to have,
Can I make an announcement, please, sir?
are we searching for more microphones?
Yep. I'm going to make it real fast.
Pardon?
Hi, folks. Can you hear me? Good. We're going to take just a few minutes to try to get this organized. These bright orange cards are going to be up here at the front table. If you could fill them out, put your name on here correctly, we would be sure we get you on the record. And as you probably all imagine, we're past our max capacity for the fire code. So as you speak, if we can get you to rotate outside, we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. And I believe we're also trying to get a bigger room. All righty? Some of these cards are being passed out in the back right now.
And have the address on there, too.
Oh, and if you could put your address on there too, please.
For the record, Mary McElhone, Business Licensing Manager. What I'm going to do, just so you know, is I'm going to read a summary of what this bill does into the record. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. So this ordinance proposes amendments to the short-term rental regulation for both land use approval and also for licensing. So what this bill is going to do is it's going to create 3 specific types of short-term rentals. The first one is if it's an owner-occupied residence with 2 bedrooms or less, there will not be a special use permit required. However, if it is within 660 square feet of another short-term rental, an SUP will be required, meaning a special use permit. The second type, all short-term rentals will need a special use permit. The third type is if your residential short-term rental has 6 bedrooms or more, you must also now have, besides a special use permit, on-site staffing 24 hours a day. The bill also adds the following additional restrictions. There's to be no renting of accessory structures, meaning mobile units, casitas, trailers, tents. The business licensing number must be on all advertisements. You must list on your license application a hosting platform if you are using them. The occupancy will now be limited to 2 people per bedroom, with a maximum of 10 individuals per residence. There's now a proof of liability insurance coverage in a minimum amount of $500,000 required. Also required to sign an affidavit attesting to the fact that there is no delinquent room tax liabilities or liens regarding the property to be used. A placard should also be placed on the exterior of all short-term residential rentals when they're occupied, listing the allowable occupancy and 24-hour contact information. And the expectation in the code is that someone will respond within 2 hours of a complaint. Also, owners will have 1 year to obtain any special use requirements. We're not planning in this ordinance to grandfather in any locations. The short-term rental ordinance change also allows mixed-unit developments. And it should also be noted that in Section 1 and 2 of this bill, it removes rooming house and bed and breakfast from the hotel-motel portion of Title VI. Rooming house is now considered an outdated term, and the bed and breakfast really should fall under short-term rentals. The language in the existing hotel motel code, which requires a guest log, is not a requirement of short-term rental clients. Also, this bill will increase parking requirements for rentals with 5 bedrooms or more. There will be a requirement of 1 additional space for every 2 bedrooms or fraction thereof beyond the 5 bedrooms.
Was there anybody from staff that had any comments to make? All right, let me tell you, you're all good people. Let's not be impolite to each other. Let's listen and try and come to an understanding. I'm sure there'll need to be some small adjustments. Some people will feel we should have no adjustments, but we just work together. I will ask the marshals to come and take out anybody who is unruly or who is going to cause a big problem for somebody who speaks. Don't clap. Don't boo. Let's just get information from people who are here. We'll begin with the individuals who support the ordinance, and I will, and how many minutes do you allow? I'm taking how many do you allow per speaker?
1 minute per speaker.
No, I can't do that. We have to have 2 minutes, I'm sorry. Thank you, though, for your suggestion. We'll allow 2 minutes per speaker. You had a question.
I do. This is Carpanian, if I could. Did she read the entire bill? Because I did not hear her say anything about rentals being limited to 2 bedrooms only. Has that changed, or did she miss that page?
But I do things differently. I'm sorry, Bob. You may be out of order, but I do things differently because I want the people to be able to talk when they need to talk. But to get out of order, then Bob's going to tell me I'm a jerk, right?
No.
I just need names
I think Linda's always right, but it's
Would you please give your name and address?
I'm sorry, my name is Doug Williams, 6983 East Bonanza, 89110. I'm a native of Las Vegas. And know that my speech here has as much to do with limiting rentals to 2-bedroom maximum as it does some of the other issues. And as I read this bill...
All right. Did we have copies of the bill distributed?
Pass them all through.
Mary, did you? What?
She said that. I'll read it over again.
I believe the bill we have is outdated. It doesn't match what she says.
Please, we have to do this in order. All right, Mary will answer that question, and then after that, proponents of the bill will be heard. Those who favor the bill will be heard first. Okay.
Thank you.
And you live in the county, right? And you're here to...
I live in the county. My particular licensed property is in the city.
Okay.
For the record, Mary McElhone, the way the bill works is if you have an owner-occupied residence, so it's a 2-bed and breakfast where the owner's going to be there, and it's 2 bedrooms or less, so that means the owner's in 1 bedroom and you're going to rent out the other bedroom, it does not require a special use permit. Not unless there's some other conditions like 660 feet within another residential rental unit, then you will need a special use permit. So there is no restriction on whether you can have a rental unit, 2 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms. It's just whether you need that special use permit or not.
And if it's not owner-occupied, you have to have a special use permit based on this bill, correct?
That's correct. So if you have a 2-bedroom residential rental for short-term use and it's not owner-occupied, you will need a special use permit.
As well as a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom or...
That is correct. If it's not owner-occupied, regardless of the number of bedrooms, it will require a special use permit.
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, we will now have those who are in favor of the bill speaking. Would you please come up through here? I don't think you can get that way.
Where do you want to hear?
3 seats.
There's 3 seats, yeah. Just come on up. If you are in favor of the ordinance, you will be speaking first, and then we will hear all of those who are in disfavor with the ordinance.
Anybody else in favor? Go ahead, sir. Identify yourself.
Okay. All right, I'm going to ask you to give your name, your address, and then give your opinion. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure, I'll be happy to start. I'm Herman Fox.
Quiet, please.
I live at 1244 Park Circle, which is in the Scotch 80, right in the heart of downtown. It's from a short-term rental standpoint, it's a very desirable...
You know something, they can't hear it all in back. Will you come up in front?
Sure.
And then when he finishes, you can come up because they can't hear.
Thank you.
For 2 minutes? For 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes, okay. How long before the next microphone gets here?
Sir?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Herman Fox. I live at 1244 Park Circle, which is in the Scotch 80 in the heart of downtown. I was not intending to speak today, but seeing the group here, and I just thought I'd relate my experience of what's happening in the Scotch 80. It's right next to the Strip, very desirable from a short-term rental standpoint. I have a general comment, and I have a specific personal experience. From a general standpoint, we have houses in the Scotch 80s which are being purchased by investors who are converting them into party houses, short-term rentals, event housing, and it's happening, it seems to be accelerating, and we are a very nice, bucolic neighborhood. I do not think that it is a proper use to commercialize our neighborhood, and it looks like it's going to get pretty dense with these houses, which really affects our standard of living. That's the general statement I wanted to make. The specific one is my mother lives in the neighborhood with me. She lives right across from one of the 2 registered houses that we have. The other ones are not registered. We have 2 that have gone through the process. And that house has become a real problem for the neighborhood. It's on Birch Street, right across from my mother's house. I believe there are other people around here who want to speak about that possibly. But there are a lot of cars, a lot of people. My mother, who is 87, is frightened by all the activity, especially the late night activity. I've had to hire staff to stay with her at night. It's just a personal experience. It cost me quite a bit of money to adjust to this house here, and that's exactly one of the reasons why I don't think our neighborhood should be commercialized like this.
Time.
Thank you. Do you want this?
Yes, please.
Thank you. You want to leave?
I will tell you, this is not going to work this way. We have a bunch of people waiting outside. They can hear nothing even though we have a mic. I'm going to take a 10-minute recess and ask you to go to the City Hall chambers, okay?
Second floor. Second floor. We need to make sure there's lights on. Can you go make sure the lights are on?
Melissa, you look so fine. And you didn't wear the black dress. Cigarette.
Oh, no, sorry.
My brother's in Hawaii.
City clerk,
Oh, I know you're
city attorney, public, staff, Anthony, Tarkanian, Cup. Anthony, Tarkanian, Cup.
Test 2, 3, 4.
Well, by the way, you know where we are now? We are in the chambers. Yeah, a couple hundred people. Okay, see you. So you're off the board. They're watching me. Hopefully there's, you go up to Monday.
The gentleman's coming up the stairs. He's getting closer. And we're told it'll take just 3 minutes? What was that?
Forget it. We're already in here.
Who's in here?
Be careful with the drinks.
What are you talking about? Are they
She
being-
wanted us to warn them not to bring any drinks inside, but they're already inside.
Oh,
We
yeah.
allow water, so she suggested, well, let's say, be careful.
Yeah,
Normally
that's-
we don't allow drinks in here, except for
Okay.
water.
Oh, the heck with that, huh? I think you're right. We're still waiting for the gentleman who needs to fix the speakers. In the end, the wait will be worth it because you should be able then to hear everything that is said, not only by those of us on the committee, but also by everybody in the audience. I will have some call-ins that we'll hear at the end of each group.
I follow all the UNLV guys, so I saw that Adam Scott made a run with it. He started somebody. And I played that course several times on one trip. There was a tournament there about 15 years ago. It was put on by some sponsor, and I won a trip. My foursome won a trip. So we represented that, and we played Sawgrass. Oh, that's right. You know how fescue grows here with the, the blades on it, it's pretty tough grass. You used to see it down there. It's like machete. Tear your shoes apart. Yeah, the rough, incredible. I missed it both times.
What was the distance?
But I hit it the second time.
What was the distance?
Only 120 or 30. It's like,
And you can get it on?
This is the best I
not the
can do.
first time. One out of two.
Without going to
Everything is turned on now. All right, we can begin, finally. We have a 2-minute timer. We're going to start with those who are pro first. And say your name and your address. So those who want to come can begin the line, or they can just come up when it's there, the line isn't so long. All right, let's begin. Is your mic working? Okay.
Council members, my name is Stephen Grogan. I'm president of the Scotch 80s Owners Association. I reside at 2121 Silver Avenue. I stand before you in favor of this bill and hope it becomes ordinance. Succinctly, we have been fighting for the last many years, over 20 years, to keep commercialization out of single-family residential neighborhoods. The current aspects of it is very simple. We have an epidemic right now that's in our neighborhood that's destroying our single-family homes and residential values. We have 2 licensed short-term rentals which were able to gain their licensure without any input from neighboring citizens. We have 4 operating in the neighborhood illegally, and the city is doing nothing about them. We have been able to stop these recently before the planning department because only one of them was within a 660 variance. It was interesting to note at that planning commission that there were 4 other illegal operations that were defeated because they were within 600 feet of other short-term rentals, which leads one to believe that short-term rentals are an infestation in the neighborhood. This is a battle very simply between entrepreneurship who want to commercialize residential neighborhoods. I am in favor of residential neighborhoods and the quality of life in Las Vegas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, please. Name and address first.
Good afternoon, and thank you for moving us into a more comfortable room so we can all hear each other. My name is Melissa Peterson. I reside at 556 Barbara Way here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I recently purchased my home in a historic district because I wanted to be in a residential area close to commercialization. Fortunately, after I purchased my home, I had Airbnbs spring up all around me. At one time, I had 3 Airbnbs surrounding me, and the only way that I could combat them was by using the city ordinance and addressing it with the owners of the property that unless they stopped their practice, I would be turning them into the city. 2 out of the 3 complied. I still have a problem with 1 of the residences. And the only way that I can fight to get that behavior stopped is through ordinances as you're proposing. I am in favor of the bill as it stands. I would only like to ask perhaps to consider one additional item. In Section 5, under Section 5F, it talks about homeowners associations giving a letter of approval. Seeing that I live downtown in a historic neighborhood where we do have our own neighborhood associations, I wonder if we could discuss maybe having historic neighborhoods granting approval like a homeowners association would. No?
We would have to discuss that.
Can't happen. Well, thank you for thinking about it, but I am in favor of this, the entire bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I guess we lost a young lady to my left, so I'll go next. Donald Mosley, 1127 Westland, Las Vegas, that's in the McNeil area. I don't intend to offend in what I'm about to say, but this is back on? Okay. This issue is very important to me. Honestly, I cannot believe that any rational, fair-minded individual that cares anything about a neighborhood would be in favor of short-term renting. It's just mind-boggling to me that we're here, frankly. I would point out that a neighborhood is just that, a neighborhood. It is not a commercial enterprise zone. I bought my home 50 years ago. If you'd have told me even 10 years ago that I'd have to come down here to City Hall and fight some corporation from buying my neighbor's house and turning it into a motel, I wouldn't have believed it. But yet here we are. I would ask the City Council to do everything possible to restrict these short-term rentals or eliminate them entirely. Thank you very much.
My name is...
There's a question, please. Mr. Mosley, you said you were for the ordinance? Okay, she just asked the question. I need to clarify.
My name is John Saling. I live at 1620 Birch Street. I live in the Scotch Eddies community. I've lived there for 24 years. My feelings mirror Judge Mosley's. I currently have one directly across the street from me. I've seen as many as 4 or 5 turnovers in a week. Constant. I have more traffic on my street in the last 6 months than I've had in 24 years. I've seen 40 people stay in that home on a weekend. I found condoms, panties in my yard. I've seen a party bus pull up, drop off 25 people. This is a 3-bedroom house. For most people, Your residence is the single largest investment we have. And when we allow this stuff to go on in our neighborhood, all we're doing is destroying people who have worked hard and saved up for that investment. And I hope you guys would just get rid of it all. Let them go to the Strip. That's what it's about. We don't need them in our neighborhood. There's plenty of rooms on the Strip. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Scott at 1508 Kirkland, Las Vegas 89102. Mrs. Tarkanian, Mr. Coffin, other council members, I think you've all seen me before. You know that I am, my feelings on short-term rentals, and I won't rehash all the experiences. We're all aware of those. We've all heard those over the last few years. So I would like to say that I am in favor of the ordinance, and I would like to focus on a couple of things. The bill proposes a 2-hour window for the operators of these businesses to respond to complaints or concerns. However, 2 hours is a long time when you need to get back to sleep, or you are not on vacation like the short-term rental occupants are. We live here. We need to get up and go to sleep. We need to get up and go to work in the morning. Metro is overwhelmed, and responding to noise complaints appears to be well down on the list of their priorities. Since the operators of these hotels are running a commercial business at the expense of my neighborhood, I do not think it is unreasonable for them to be on call while they have customers. I propose a 30-minute response time while the property is rented. However, a 2-hour response time appears reasonable while the property is not rented. Also, I would like to point out that Glen Heather Estates, the neighborhood that I live in, has CC&Rs. Which state that a short-term rental, that every lot, each and every lot, shall be used for private residence purposes only? A short-term rental is defined by the city as a commercial use of the property. This is in clear violation of my neighborhood CC&Rs. I invite you to look at that, and I invite you to consider adding Glen Heather to the list of excluded areas, which includes Summerlin, Town Center, and the Medical District. I believe this will possibly enable the city to reduce costs of enforcement in my neighborhood and future complaints, and possibly even litigation between property owners in Glen Heather. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Amy Saline, 1620 Birch Street. I just wanted to let you know that we have a short-term rental directly across the street from our house. I can see it out my kitchen window, out my living room window, while I'm fixing meals for my husband. Shuttle buses come up and down, Ubers, taxis, a constant stream of people, 20, 15 people getting off of these buses. We've found women's underwear in our front yard, men's underwear in our backyard, used condoms in the street, beer cans, alcohol bottles, empty food containers. These people don't care that this is our neighborhood. We've got grandchildren that are coming over and seeing this stuff. How do you explain that to them? That this is okay? It's not okay. Like my husband said, if they wanted to be in a party Las Vegas atmosphere, then they should be on the Strip, not in a home across the street from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Kathleen Carr, 1208 Norman Avenue, 89104. I have to begin with an apology for my earlier outburst. The frustration at seeing older homeowners not be able to get into that room took over me, and I sincerely apologize to you and to everyone else in the room. I have owned my home for 26 years. I bought it when I was a spry 30-year-old, and in my mind and heart, I'm still a hippie chick driving that Volkswagen van, and I just wonder where couch surfing went wrong. I mean, we used to have couch surfing, and it was great, and people came and they stayed at your place and they went their way. And I think that allowing people with a 2-bedroom to have somebody come without a special use permit is a great idea. I like the idea of people from all over the world coming to my neighborhood to learn about Las Vegas the way we live it and the people in the historic downtown neighborhoods live it. I think that we have the opportunity to actually change what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That whole mindset, I think that gives us the ability to do that when people come and stay in our homes. I'm for the bill, but I want to know about how enforcement's going to be paid for. I want to know that people that are making money in our neighborhoods are going to be taxed properly for services used by the neighborhood. And I think that's the big thing for me. How are we going to do that? And at the end, I love my neighborhood. It's because of you guys and the smart decisions you've made that I now live across the street from a very, very nice home as opposed to a gutted out home, and I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the thought that went into this bill. I just want the onus to stay on us as a city and as neighborhoods to protect the quality of life for the people that live in these neighborhoods. And thank you very much.
Thank you also.
Hello, my name is Stephen Tomlinson. I live at 1733 East Oakey Boulevard, the Crestwood neighborhood. I'm here to speak on behalf of my neighbors who work during the day and could not make it to the meeting, as well as some friends. We've been talking about this issue for a long time. In full disclosure, I have a short-term residential rental permit for my home that I live in, that I've owned for 10 years. Never actually rented it out, but I like the idea of having the option. What I'm hearing is that most people are concerned with issues of enforcement and density, that there's too many short-term rentals in our neighborhoods, and there are too many of them that are operating illegally. So I am for this bill. I think it's a good idea to further clarify and enforce the regulations because this does affect our neighborhoods. I would like to offer my suggestions for a couple of perhaps enhancements, and that is to solve the problem of density, perhaps instead of having the 600-foot limit, that should be increased to 1,200 feet. That would reduce the number of units in our neighborhoods as well as the density of the units in our neighborhoods. Second of all, I believe that the permit fee should be increased, I don't know the exact amount, to help pay for code enforcement. One of the issues that we see, and it's not only this issue of short-term residential rentals, it's issues of squatting. We have severe problem with squatters in my neighborhood. This would give code enforcement more resources to deal with these issues. And those are my two suggestions. Otherwise, I think you folks do a fine job, and I think this regulation is a positive change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, yeah.
None.
It's on now. It's
Sharon Butler, Sager Bloom, 1242 Park Circle. As someone who was in charge of code enforcement, this will not be enforced, and I think that we all know that. But mainly, I have a question for staff as to, first of all, how do you go in someone's home? I don't believe we can, to know if they've reconfigured it for 2 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 10 bedrooms. Why are we giving preference, which I believe this bill does, to let people give them the ability for very little money to rent their homes out for short-term rentals when Henderson does not? And why all of a sudden is this happening without proper notice? When someone wants to put a garage on their home, they are perfectly, everyone gets notified, and it's a, you know, they put a big sign up. Our neighborhood, it's just a problem with shuttle buses. I also have the question as far as the placards. How is that going to be that people can sell their homes or be pride in their neighborhood when you have, it's like a hotel and they have a big placard that says we rent bed and breakfast, or we went day to day. I mean, I don't know who is organized the opposition, but as you well know, Lois, it's not organic. at all. And secondly, I don't understand why you and Councilman Beers are the only people here. Is this only for our 2 council districts that this is being allowed?
Would you repeat that last question?
I believe you and Councilman Beers are the only 2 people hearing this. I was going to ask, or is it just you? But is this only for our council district?
I just would like to clarify, this is the recommending committee, and we hear this, and then it goes to the full council.
Okay, thank you.
With the recommendation.
But it would
for
be
us.
citywide, correct?
The answer real quick, Councilman Biggers asked to co-sponsor Councilwoman Tarkanian's bill.
Oh, this is your 2 bills?
It's a citywide ordinance.
Okay.
It's all districts.
Okay, but it would be the citywide or
Yes.
just your district?
Citywide.
Okay. And my last question is, how would code enforcement, which I know very well, there's absolutely no way to enforce this. This is just smoke and mirrors. They cannot go in people's homes. You can reconfigure, 600
I believe it
feet
states in the, excuse me, Sharon, but I believe it states in the ordinance that it's from the county, the configuration of the home. So you don't have to go in the home to find out if it has 2 or 3 bedrooms.
So how did, but what I'm trying to say is, we have a home by us. It's been reconfigured. It's on the plans. It's a 4-bedroom home. They've made it a 6-bedroom home. And, internally, which they can do, code enforcement cannot go in. And I just think that it's disingenuous for us to act like this is going to be enforced and that there's really anything code enforcement can do about it. You, for years, have heard from our neighborhood of what's happening. And over by Our Lady, they have the same problems.
We have it all over. Just a second, I'd like to have code enforcement answer that for you. Would you, Vicki, please?
Vicki Ozuna, Code Enforcement Supervisor. Part of the process is when somebody wants to become a licensed short-term rental facility, they must come into planning, they fill out an application, and the first thing we do is perform a conditional use verification inspection. Part of that inspection includes not only safety issues, but also verifying how many bedrooms are in the house.
So you're going in the house?
Yes.
You're going to go in the house?
Yes, we do an internal inspection of the house to verify what's been done.
Sure, and how often is that, Vicki?
Sharon, you're out of order. Listen,
Sorry.
then.
How often would you be checking besides initially?
Well, and we check initially. If we need to check further on, we can always get a search warrant to go in if needed, if we have justification.
How would you enforce the 10 people thing, if you could let me know, please?
For the record, Mary McElhone. I'm going to jump in here for a second. It was brought to my attention when we had that break there that that actually is not in this ordinance, even though I did say there's a maximum of 10 people. It is 2 individuals per bedroom, but there is no maximum. So just to clarify that.
And again, the question is, how would you enforce 2 people in a bedroom? The house down the street had 25 people the other day, and I know that they have 4 bedrooms. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to argue with you, I just wondered how it would be enforced.
So once they are a licensed facility, business license actually does the enforcement. Again, though, they would have to go out and do inspections and put a case together to either get a search warrant or to take additional action against them.
Well, that's really...
Sharon, let me just say this. What are the choices? The county says absolutely no short-term rentals. And
So does Henderson.
they probably have over 3,000, but that's what they say. All you can do is your best. And when we have problems with the short-term rental, we send out enforcement, and we have added individuals to our staff to try and give us more help.
Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out, if we had 2,000 short-term rentals, how would code enforcement, unless they've tripled and doubled their staff, which I don't think they have, how would they possibly check 2,000 rentals every year?
I will tell you, we're doing a much better job now than we did before, and we will continue to try to do the best. Can we check out everyone? No, we will check out the problem ones. That's what we would do. That's all we can do.
Okay. I appreciate you listening to me, and again, to me, it's just homeowners versus entrepreneurs, and it's just...
I understand what you're saying. I had a couple of short-term rentals near me, too. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Sharon, Bob Coffin wants to speak with you down there. Sharon used to work in the city, and that's why we were trying to answer more questions for her, because she... go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
Hello, my name is Dylan Bracken, and I live at 309 Arnold. I'm opposed to the bill. I think that it should be more restrictive.
Sir, now wait a minute, that's complicated. You're opposed to the bill, you want it more restrictive, but right now we're hearing those who are for the bill.
Oh, I thought that all the people for it already went, and then...
I don't know, but then I'd have to make an announcement that we
excuse
were
me
for
then.
the con. Sorry, okay. Someone behind you wants to speak. Who is for the bill?
Hello, my name is Wendy Quebec. I live at 557 Barbara Way. I live in the historic Beverly Green neighborhood, and I just wanted to also echo the concerns of Melissa Peterson, who spoke earlier. She's my neighbor. We were surrounded by 3 short-term rentals, within 650 feet. And the ordinance, I do support the ordinance. It did protect us in terms of being able to address it directly. And 2 of those short-term rentals were by renters, and I believe maybe without even the knowledge of the homeowners. And then I would also just request that the that there are postcard notifications sent to those impacted in the neighborhoods to be notified about the special use permit so that we can voice our opinions.
One of the reasons why the special use permit is in the bill is because that will give notification and more transparency for people who live in the community.
Okay.
So that is part of the bill, and that would be done then.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there, Shelley Walters, 2112 Kirkland Avenue. I am president of the Glen Heather Estates Neighborhood Association. And we haven't had, we've had some problems with the 2 vacation rentals that we have in our neighborhood. But, and I am for most of the stuff in the bill. The one thing that stands out to me is the placard that you have to put on the house that says it's a vacation rental. I think that could bring us more problems than it would do us good, just because people would know the house is vacant sometimes.
And I think that's a good comment, and that we are looking at that. That is one of the things that we think probably should be changed. But,
right, and
the bill.
And one of the other things that I saw in there was that there has to be a public log of the people who have stayed there in the house.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that should be public knowledge.
Well, the people who are in charge of enforcing and licensing think it's important, but that it should not be public.
Right, the owner can make it.
Just one sheet, yeah, and that was discussed too. Those are things you do to tweak the bill.
Right.
But we have had that, and that was brought forward about the not having it public. Have it, but have it on single sheets for each person so that it isn't public to everybody.
Right.
But it is available then to licensing and code enforcement.
Because if they are responsible homeowners and they get all of that information anyway when they rent
Right.
to, they don't just rent to people, they don't get their information from. The other thing, I'm not 100% against vacation rentals because I think they do serve a purpose, a good purpose for families that are coming to visit. And I think, I know we do have a very responsible vacation rental owner from our neighborhood that's here today. And he does mostly rent to families and that type of thing. I recently rented a vacation rental in my neighborhood for my family because my house was under construction. We had 8 adults and 5 children stay in the house, in the 4-bedroom house. So if you have a situation like that, you're actually limiting the number of people that can stay. With this bill, you're limiting the number of people who can stay in
Within
the
a
house.
home, yes.
And that's 2 adults per room, or?
They haven't, the children weren't counted.
Okay.
So it's adults. But if you had children, that's not counted.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, David Figler, 1302 South 6th Street. I'm the president of the John S. Park neighborhood. Before I get started, I wanted to thank the planning department for sending a representative to our neighborhood meeting at our bequest to explain this bill to us. I think it was very instructive for the neighbors, and planning went above and beyond to make sure that we understood what this was all about. And to that, I wanted to thank the Planning Commission and the Council for accommodating that so planning could come to our neighborhood meeting and explain this ahead of time. That was fantastic. And I got a lot of input from my neighbors, so I just wanted to thank, and also Councilman Coffin for that. So
Yes.
all right.
I'm getting a compliment.
We appreciate, and I think that most people here are in one way or another for the bill, but for different reasons. I think the people who are for buts, and the people who potentially are against but. The for, I think, understand that if you're going to deal with this experiment, which absolutely impacts the neighborhood, the quality of life, the stability of the residential neighborhood, that you try to get reasonable restrictions in. I think that's why people are coming in with the for. I think the against feel that, well, if it's here, at least we're able to do these commercial enterprises, which, make no mistake about it, are 24/7 businesses. And so I think compromise is in the air. If the city is going to allow this to happen in certain areas, that there are some things that can be worked out for all the parties. I think the number one thing that we keep hearing is code enforcement. As a 24/7 business, this is very unlike any other commercial endeavor in the city. Having been involved in some other highly regulated SUP-type businesses, such as medical marijuana, et cetera, I know that we are, in that business, highly taxed, highly fined, highly relied upon for revenue so that we could pay for our own code enforcement. And code enforcement is in place, and we are subject to code enforcement all the time, and we welcome it. I think it keeps the business honest, but we don't have that type of resource for 24/7. There's no code enforcement who are working at 3 in the morning when there is a violation. So I'm going to just try to sum up really quick that we appreciate the reasonable restrictions, but that there are certain things that need to happen before this can go forward, and that really is in the area of financing and ensuring the enforcement, and you need to figure out how to do that. So I would suggest that you impose the new restrictions. I think that you need to talk about a little bit more specificity with some of the things like no buses or shuttles, more explicit parking regulations, more explicit limitations on who could be in the house. I think there needs to be some reference to the sex offender registry and renting to people on the sex offender registry, et cetera. I don't think that you should have neighbors compiling evidence against their other neighbors to support a search warrant so that enforcement can happen. I think that's really an untenable situation where you're putting neighbor against neighbor, and nobody wants that, Councilwoman, at all. What I think everyone wants is reasonable restrictions across the board that are evenly imposed and that are enforced. When people are getting woken up early morning hours, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, because people are just being cavalier about their short-term rental that they don't have a vested interest in, who do we call? Do we call the hotline? And we do. I know all my neighbors call the hotline for the legal and the illegal ones, and there's just never enough. There's never response, period, and there's not compilation, and so when these people move to go legit, we don't have a record against them. Those offenses aren't made public like they are when people apply for variances for other commercial businesses. If this is going to be a commercial business and you're going to change the character of the residential neighborhoods, you're going to do it through reasonable restrictions, you absolutely need to treat these commercial businesses like any other 24/7 business that operates, and you know that's highly regulated with enough money for enforcement. So what I would ask is that this bill move forward. We like the tier system. It makes sense. You guys have been working real super hard on making this a fair system. I would also ask that you consider letting it operate for a year with the existing Airbnbs or short-term rentals and have a moratorium on any new applications until you could figure out if this is working or not, to have a graduated system to eventually expand it. Last comment is, it does seem unfair to some of us in the historic neighborhoods, the older neighborhoods, the neighborhoods that are really go back to the foundations of Las Vegas, to be treated in a different way than the exempt areas. Summerlin and Town Center and other areas get excluded from this. If you're going to open it up to everyone. don't exclude the people who maybe are more affluent or who don't want it next to them. I think a lot of people who are going to come in against it are people who don't necessarily live in the neighborhood where they want their Airbnb. Maybe they live in the city, but they have investment properties. They're trying to get a return on their investment. They're looking at rentals, and they're not seeing a lot of money. After the crash of '07, this is like a desperation plea, and they think they're going to make as much money in a day as they make in a month. And more power to them. It's America, they're going to try to do that. But by doing that, they're changing the character of the residential neighborhoods, and they have to do that with, something more.
I think you've gone over your time.
I
Thank you
appreciate
very
that,
much.
Councilwoman. Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else that is pro?
My name is Jean Asmussen. I live at 718 Park Paseo. I agree with basically everything David just said. We are neighbors. The one thing I would like to, two things I'd like to comment on is the description, the restrictions on how many vehicles will be allowed to park at that location can, in some neighborhoods, severely compromise the limited parking that might be on the street. Some of the blocks have very small areas. There is not the width for the extra parking. And also a suggestion for each additional violation. If certain places are going to continue to have violations, then let there be an escalating charge for each time that someone has a violation against them. The charge goes up for the code enforcement. Code enforcement is fine, but let there be some financial penalties caused by it. That way they'll give them a reason to help self-regulate what's coming in. If it costs them, they will help make sure that there aren't negative effects to the rest of the neighbors.
One reason why the SUP is in the ordinance is because some neighborhoods may not mind having a short-term rental. Some neighborhoods may feel that's all right, but other neighborhoods might feel the parking isn't good, this isn't good, that doesn't work out, and so forth and so on. So they then have the opportunity to come to the council and explain that, so the council can then determine, do they approve the SUP or do they not approve it? So that should take care of that type of problem.
Which would affect it in the initial, but as it goes into it, as it's an ongoing situation, if a certain individual chooses to allow a lot of compromises and negative events where ordinance control has to come out, does that continue to be available to the neighbors so that they're not affected and have to come to a city council meeting each time they have to
No,
call an offense?
it's when the SUP is there. If the neighborhood cannot hold the traffic, then I would assume the council would understand that and not approve the SUP. So you wouldn't have one then. Thank you very much for your comments. Yes, sir.
How you doing? I'll keep it short. I am a homeowner and also an entrepreneur, and my name is Robert Terry. I live at Panorama Tower. I just want to say three things. One thing is I do agree that there need to be laws as far as to how to incorporate a lot of these subleasing. And one thing I just want people to know that a lot of dispute that I feel that people have is people are afraid of diversity and also afraid of our communities evolving. And far as this whole stereotype of what they feel people that rent out these properties is very incorrect. And far as for me of having properties in Atlanta, and far as not only having students and families, and a lot of these people that come in and have no illegitimate to the neighborhoods that they reside in at that time. And I just want to tell people that's all for these bills that stop stereotyping these people that are renting out these properties to saying that they only one way. And because I'm one of my only friend here to support this, and I kind of felt bad that you guys really as homeowners take us serious as far as putting in that little room and not even letting us hear what we had to say. And also we want to hear what we say because I care about my community, the communities that I came from and also the community that I now reside in. So I just want people to, when we are coming to we are coming to, we both have to give on each side, but just understand that we're a global economy now, and there's nothing wrong with diversity, and we're not going to be here. I'm not going to be here in a few years, and a lot of other people is not going to be here. I can see it in you guys' face. And just take into account, man, like diversity is a beautiful thing. And let's continue to go forward in the right direction, not with these traditional ways that we feel how our neighborhood is supposed to be, because a lot of these people that are saying this, they really not out here with these kids. And I'm talking from...
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you.
You got that, but
I
really appreciate you for you guys of not really appreciating us and putting us in that little room for us not to be able to be heard. And man, get it together, get it together.
Thank you. I did want to make a couple of comments on statements that have been made. As far as the fines are concerned and escalating the fines, I want you to know that the Nevada legislature controls how much fine we can do. And $500 is the top limit of a fine. Now, of course, if the problem occurs in March and April and May, you could do the $500 each time the problem occurs, but that's why we haven't been able to do a higher level. And then when we talked about the listing of names publicly, and do we need them or not, I want you to know that Airbnb does not share their names from their platform at all. And in fact, they just had a big legal battle with the city of San Francisco, which they just, San Francisco won. And now Airbnb has to let the names on their platform be public to people who are in the city and things along that line. And Airbnb just brings in these waves of renters, and I mean waves of renters, right now, without letting us know who they are, where they're from, and things like that. Yes, sir, did you want to speak?
I'm waiting to speak again. It's time to listen.
Oh, okay. He wants to speak again? Oh, against, sorry. Anybody else speaking pro the ordinance? Okay, this is the last chance. Anybody speaking pro the ordinance, step up. All right, then. We had that other gentleman that was waiting there, and I can't see him now. So go ahead.
Thank you, Councilwoman Tarkanian, Councilman Beers. My name is Norm Schilling. I'm a resident of Southern Nevada, Las Vegas, city of Las Vegas since 1972. I currently live in the county. I purchased 2 properties within the city of Las Vegas approximately 6 months ago with the intent of investing in them as short-term rentals based on the fact that the city of Las Vegas made that a legal option. I have invested over half of my life savings in these 2 properties. I have currently, and this is myself and my fiance, we are partners in this. We have currently invested approximately $40,000 to $50,000 in improvements of these 2 properties. They are not in one of the high-profile Scotch 80s type communities. These are on the outskirts of the downtown renovation area. They're in not the best neighborhood, and part of our intent and our motivation is that we actually have the opportunity to improve the neighborhoods in which I grew up. One of the houses is on Peyton Street. I used to play there with my cousins lived on the street. So these neighborhoods are very dear to me. Our investment thus far has been about $50,000 to $60,000, not including the purchase of the homes. And I have a horticulture company, a landscape company. We do really beautiful, sustainable work. I am planning on investing approximately another $90,000 to $100,000 in these 2 properties, and a big, big part of this is the opportunity to make a difference in my community. If you make the restrictions much more severe, I've already paid $1,100 for the 2 licenses. I've gone through the conditional use verification, and my intent, our intent, is to be 100% legal and respectful neighbors. I want to be an enhancement to the neighborhood. The thing about the short-term rental is if it's legal, it can be enforced. And I actually want and encourage the city, those properties that are not doing this legally should be Code enforcement should go shut them down. I don't blame it. 660 feet apart, it's not a huge saturation. So this is an opportunity for the city of Las Vegas to take a leadership role to make this work. And the other thing I want to say is that a lot of people, myself and my fiance included, when we travel, we don't want to stay in hotels. This is something that is part of our community, whether we like it or not. The best thing to do is to get in front of it and make it legal. And please, I ask of you, do not change the rules on us in the middle of the game. I thank you very much.
When you say don't change the rules, when you say don't change the rules, you have to make improvements when there are problems, and that's what we're trying to do with this bill. And one other thing I just wanted to tell you is that if you have a rental and you've not had any problems so far, you would probably, I would think, I'm not saying for sure, of course, be approved. So it doesn't mean that because this bill passes that you won't be able to exist anymore. It just means that we're trying to make it safer, and we're trying to make it so that it does blend together, which it is not blending together in some areas. You may be blending together, and if it came up to the council, then they could vote approval.
Well, you're asking possibly for adding a special use permit. And my understanding is that they're rather difficult to get. I've already shelled out a lot of money. I'm pretty broke.
Sir,
my understanding is
okay,
that the
let me
special
just
use
tell you,
permit costs
all right,
$1,000, ma'am.
Okay, we've gone past the time, but let me tell you, sir, you knew that it was residential property when you bought it, and it was not commercial. So that's it. Thank you very
Ma'am,
much.
I would like to respond to what you just said.
Yes.
Yes, I understood it was residential. I went to the city website to look for the 660-foot spacing, and I purchased one properties intentionally within that limitation.
Then you shouldn't be worried about the SUP.
100% legal.
I'm sure you're making good money. Let's have the next person, please.
Actually, I've not made any money yet, ma'am. I've not made any money yet.
Okay, let's, we're going to leave it on at 12:30. Stavros and I both are going to detention and public services at 12:30, because the cutting is at 1, opens at 1. So it's 25 to 12, you got 55 minutes.
Councilwoman Tarkanian, I just want to respond to what you said. You said that I've already made a lot of money. I have not made any money yet. Thank you very much both for your
You're
time
very
and your
welcome.
attention. Thank you.
Could I have the next person, please? Oh, if everybody's not making much money, I don't know why it's so desirable to have short-term rentals. Let's, ma'am, would you speak, please?
Hi, my name is Linda Capitan.
I have to take, we have to go quickly and hold us to the time because we have another meeting with 2 of the members of this committee. Thank you,
I'll be really fast. My name is Linda Capitan. I live in Biltmore Bungalows. It's a little oppressed neighborhood next to downtown Yonkton. Thank you so much for all your improvements in my area. I'm speaking about the part of a 2-bedroom maybe being excluded. I've run mine for a while. I've never had a party. It's only families with 2 children. And I don't think there's only ever 1 car, maybe 2 cars. I think a 2-bedroom house shouldn't have to go through the SUP.
Well, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Yes, it does.
For the record, Mary McElhone, yes, it does. Not unless it's owner occupied. So just a regular
you
2-bedroom
mean
house
if
does
you
require a
wouldn't
special
be
use
there,
permit.
is what
Right,
you're saying. Oh, I'm
It's across the
sorry.
street from me, but it is just a 2-bedroom, so that it's never, even within the.
But you wouldn't be there when the renters
I
are
live
there.
across the street. But I'm just saying the SUP is because of avoiding parties, parking, out-of-control things in such a small home. I don't think that
And
those
that
restrictions-
certainly could be considered.
Thank you.
I'll put that one down. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're supposed to engage with people up here. We're not supposed to engage with people when they're giving testimony. We're not supposed to argue that.
All right, sir.
Hi, thank you for hearing me, Councilwoman. My name is Dylan Bracken, address 309 Arnold Street. I'm opposed to the bill for the reason that I think that it should be more restrictive, and I am actually currently applying to, I'm going to be heard on the docket for the next council meeting, and I am applying for the bed and breakfast permit. And I believe that when we have restrictive covenants, then it allows the people that are using it to have a partnership with the city. And I want to make sure that this is something that it gets to be something that it can be a welcomed addition to the communities that actually want it. The way that the bill reads, as far as I understand, is that you would remove the bed and breakfast permit. And if anyone here has read the bed and breakfast code, it's actually the most restrictive code for this type of thing. It restricts you to have to be privy to the fire code. So for mine, I have a 6-bedroom house, but I would only be able to, because I'm applying for bed and breakfast, I have to have commercial parking on my property, which makes it so it won't be on the street, and that because I would only have room for 3 commercial spots on my property, I could have a maximum of 6 people there, and anything over 5 people, due to fire code, I would have to have sprinkler system in my house, which I don't have. So I'm limited to 5 people with the bed and breakfast permit. If you strike bed and breakfast from your bill, then you're actually removing the most restrictive code.
Sir, I think that's a very good point. I truly do. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good morning. For the record, Jay Brown, 520 South 4th Street. I'm representing the Vegas Vacation Rental Association, and with me, and she'll speak in a moment, is Annette Fiala, one of the founders. I'd like, Madam Chairman, if I could just go over maybe just a couple of minutes, because I'm representing a lot of people, and maybe we'll save some time accordingly if we can do that. But I'll go quickly.
One extra minute is all I could give.
All right. One, I think it's really important to embellish upon what the gentleman 2 speakers ago said. Many of my clients have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on short-term rentals, obtained licenses, played by the rules, and now to ask them to come and get an SUP when the history of the city is not to grant them, almost, I would say, infrequently, if at all, and to them to bet $500,000 that they're going to get an SUP is simply not fair. In addition to which, I think there should be an exception with regards to the HOAs, in the sense of if the HOAs can prohibit short-term rentals, if the HOAs do permit them, they shouldn't have to play by the rules that we're talking about, limiting occupancy, limiting separation, as long as the HOA approves it, or those communities that are gated approve it as well. And now maybe we should just go through a few of the sections, since I'm running out of time. Let me start with the breakdown of how you have this. You've encumbered home sharing, bed and breakfast, and short-term rentals in the same proposed ordinance. There should be a separate provision for each one of them. What may be good for short-term rentals may not be good for bed and breakfast, and vice versa, which goes to the public registry. Again, just like you said, Madam Councilwoman, we want to tweak the ordinance. Most of my clients are not against the ordinance in total. They just want to tweak it, and they have no problems in making the city know who's going to be there. They have no problems in letting law enforcement know, or the owner know who's going to be there. But when I come a week or a month later, I should not know who was there before and be able to get their contact information. So we just want to make that clear. Okay? And as far as the occupancy is concerned, right now you allow 6 occupants for the first bedroom and 2 for every bedroom thereafter. If it's not broken, why fix it? Why go to 2 people for every bedroom when, again, people relied on that, they've done business that way, and they obtained their licenses that way? And I don't want to... I think I'll let right now Mrs. Fiala speak on it, so I keep the train of thought that we're in right now. She wants to talk about the SUPs, and I think that's very, very important.
This group that you're talking about is a county-based group, right?
No.
The
I'll
only
let Ms. Fiala just
The only
say it.
ones that have come to us have been from the county, from
I'll
that
let
group.
Mrs. Fiala address that.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Councilwoman Tarkanian, Councilman Coffin, and Councilman Anthony. My name is Annette Fiala. As a homeowner in Vegas, I appreciate very much everything the City of Las Vegas does for our community and accomplishing being a leader in building our city of excellence for all the world to see. I have witnessed the struggle firsthand in the short-term rental industry by trial and error over the last 10 years. We are here today because it all starts here. I will commit to you that the members of our Vegas Vacation Rental Association will be proactive with whatever action the city decides to adopt. All we ask is that we don't rush into adopting any ordinance unless it will bring around the real changes that will provide benefits for everyone here today. We would appreciate that all citizens opposing short-term rentals please listen to our stories and consider that the City of Las Vegas promotes Vegas as an international destination and that the dynamics of the city and county have changed significantly over the last 15 years from 30, 40, and 50 years ago. Generation X and the millennials are changing the way we travel for business, family, and pleasure trips, and they are always bringing their money to Vegas to spend. Vegas is not only an international destination, it is the entertainment capital of the world, attracting performers on the Strip, venues, celebrities, families on vacations, conventioneers, reunions, weddings, celebrations, sports tournaments, and discreet individuals that are not able to be here today to speak on their behalf. We have celebrity performers on the Strip who want to remain anonymous but requested that their voices be heard in support of short-term rentals. They often have family and friends that come to Vegas and always prefer to stay in a short-term rental. I do have one letter from Ice Cube. We owe it to the world to offer alternative housing for those who request it. This is what our Vegas Vacation Rental Association advocates for. We want regulations to support all those here who oppose short-term rentals. We want fines for all the owners and managers who disrespect the privilege of having a short-term rental license. We want revocation of the short-term rental license for the repeat offenders. We want licenses for all the owners and managers who want to operate a legitimate short-term rental and to pay room taxes. We want a central hotline.
Could you, the time is, your past time, can you wrap it up, please?
I represent a whole bunch of people, so if I can speak, then that'll take about 30 people off your, I've got just a couple more minutes. What did you say about?
Okay. I'll give you,
I need like 3 more minutes.
we won't have time to vote on this if we go over because we're going to lose our people, but let's give you one more minute for those people you're representing.
We want a central hotline phone number for the neighbors of short-term rentals that provides an immediate enforcement response to the party house calls. We want consideration for the tens of thousands of guests who come to Vegas every year that are not in town today and expect to have a short-term rental. We do not want any party houses. They only hurt our whole industry. They are relatively few in number, but they can have a huge, everlasting negative effect if we don't regulate the industry. I am sure everyone here against short-term rentals would appreciate adopting an ordinance that would allow for short-term rentals to be licensed, fined, and finally shut down as opposed to not having any control over them at all. We advocate and ask for licenses, regulation, pay room tax, and when necessary, fine and shut down the short-term rentals. We need council members to consider all the consequences when requiring a special use permit and the 660-foot separation. Besides not issuing one special use permit application, it is my guess that those properties will still operate not paying room taxes and continuing to avoid consequences like some other properties in the news. Since my time is up, I'm going to pass this on to someone else to read. Thank you.
I'm good. Would the next person want to come up, please?
Good morning. My name is Brian Griffiths. I live at 2125 Glen Heather Way in the Glen Heather Estates. I also own a vacation rental in our neighborhood, and I've been, according to most of my neighbors, doing a very good job of running it. It has to do with the screening. My concern about this bill is some of the restrictions you put in there. First of all, you just mentioned is that you group all of them in one group. So the lady down the street, who I happen to know, living on her Social Security, trying to rent out her room in her house, she has 3 bedrooms, so she would have to apply for a special use permit to rent out her room. Obviously, she's not having a party house if she's living in her own house. So to restrict those folks from having their extra income, and I'm speaking for her because she wouldn't come in today to do this, is really prohibitive for her. That's her extra income. It's her house. She's not having a party. The idea of grouping all these together as party houses, I think, is really ridiculous. The majority are not. I've had over 125 guest stays, have not had one single problem. Which you point out, if I've not had a single problem, I shouldn't have any problem getting my special use permit. But that's not true, because you send out these cards that basically say, do you oppose it or accept it? That's what you send out. Of course they're going to oppose it, because it says you're going to have a vacation rental, whether or not you ran it perfectly or not. Whether or not I know all my neighbors, which my neighbors are shared with the Scotch 80s as well. My house is on the border of both of them. They don't know me in the Scotch 80s. So when I have to reapply for something that I went through your process, you said to me, Brian, here's the process. You got to be within 660 feet. You've got to have the fire inspector come out and look at the house. You've got to do all of these things, and you can have your business. But you're saying to me now, no, now you have to apply for a special use permit after I've already applied for it. You have in place a way of taking away my conditional use permit. If you get enough complaints, you say, Brian, your conditional use permit is gone. You can't do that anymore. So I think you're in the right direction. You want to make this happen. You realize that millennials in particular, this is the way they're going to travel. They're not staying in hotels anymore. People are moving toward this model. So you have to accept it. Otherwise, they're going to come in and do it illegally, which they are. I applaud you for going ahead and doing this, but to restrict me, who already have made the investment like many others have, who are running a good vacation rental, who are in touch with our neighbors and they know what's going on with it. And then the thing about the sign is another thing. That's crazy. To hang a sign on that says, hi, my house is empty, please come rob it.
No,
Oh,
no.
Is nuts.
That's already been tweeted.
So those two things.
But I want to tell you, your time is up, but I want to tell you, you made some very excellent points.
Please don't group all of them together. Just separate them.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Shane Stigler. I live at 1704 English Oak Street over in Section 10. In the mid-'90s, my wife and I purchased a home over behind what's now Tivoli Village. That's the only house we ever lived in our whole marriage. We moved into that house. We raised our kids there. They came home from the hospital, came to that house. On December 2nd of 2015, my wife passed away in that home. And about 10 days later, my little dog was jumping up to get to food on the stove and lit the house on fire. Due to taking off all the time for the loss of the house and my wife's being on hospice, I lost my job as well. And to this date, I'm still not working. It's been over a year. I didn't know what to do with that house. I had never heard of a short-term rental prior to this. A short-term rental took us in. It was the only place I could find. The hotels would not take me, my 2 kids, and my dog. And so the only place I could find was a short-term rental. I'd never heard of it. I thought it was awesome. I decided to make that available for other people. That's what I wanted to do with my home. I didn't want to lose it. I bought a new house for me and the kids, but I wanted to save that old house. And so I spent everything I had rehabbing it. It took a year to get it completely rebuilt. And I got it set up and actually started to do it. I had never heard of the business license or the permit. And I only heard about it a few weeks ago, and I shut it down to try and get legal. I applied and was told, no, there's another one. It is 650 feet away. I'm 10 feet shy of being able to get it approved, and I'm heartbroken. I don't want to lose this home. My wife's name is written in the concrete in the backyard. I'd like to be able to leave this to my kids. And what's going on right now, I don't want to lose a house I've owned for over 20 years. All I'm asking is give me a shot. I didn't have any parties. I don't want any parties. All of my neighbors are in favor. They would all write letters saying it's okay. And I love the community. But if I lose that house, I will likely at this point lose my other house as well, and I'll have to leave Vegas. I've been here 35 years.
I would just tell you that if you had an SUP, and again, if that came, a variance could be made for a situation. I really think the council tries hard to be fair.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry for the problems you've had. Next.
For the record, Joe Locatelli of Carrera, Nevada,
Director of Government Affairs, representing the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. Madam Chair, I would just ask if maybe I might be able to get about a minute over. It might take that long, given that I represent the largest trade organization in Southern Nevada with over 13,000 members.
Go quickly.
Okay, so on behalf of the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, we appreciate the opportunity to share our concerns with Title VI of the Las Vegas Municipal Code. As written at this time, the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors opposes the proposed changes to the ordinance. We are advocates of property rights, so whether it's property owners that desire peace and tranquility in their neighborhoods, or it's the property owner, like the gentleman before us and some others who've spoken, who are just looking simply to try to subsidize their income and make a little extra money by renting out 1 or 2, 3 bedrooms, as it may be. We believe that good actors should not be punished at an expense of bad actors. Rather, it is our hope that we could offer a white paper with some possible solutions, given that the problem lies with the bad actors, and we believe that most of those who conduct this type of business are good actors. You may be aware of AB Assembly Bill 294 that's at the state legislature right now. We would like to see the outcome of that bill that's dealing with transient lodging. It's sponsored by Assemblywoman Bustamante Adams. And in closing, the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors is asking the committee for an abeyance that we could possibly study this and give you better recommendations that could serve all on both sides of the issue after the session. It's only about 3 weeks that the legislative session will end, and we'll know the outcome of AB 294. So again, GLVR's desire is an approach that will benefit all parties included, and thank you for allowing us to testify.
You're very welcome. You didn't use up all your extra time either. Thank you. I think it, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Edward Norton of Norton Consulting Investigations. I'm not here as a homeowner, I'm here as a business owner. My home is in the county, but my business is in the city of Las Vegas. Several weeks ago, members of the Vegas Vacation Rental Association met with me. They educated me on the short-term rentals and some of the issues they were having, and asked if I could come up with some kind of plan to help them enforce their rules and regulations. We know law enforcement is tied up, we know code is tied up, so the association, in trying to find a way to police themselves, asked me to come up with a plan to help them do that. This would be the institution of a 24-hour call service. The association members would be called by that service, or they could have it set up that they would call my company directly. And I would send out 2 of my trained investigators to a house that's offending at the time and take what action needs to be taken at that time. That can be the person who is leased, contacting them, telling them that they're in violation of their lease agreement, and have them remedy it at that time. If they don't remedy it, because they are a member of the association, we can then start asking people to leave. We could also take a look at the parking violations. That's another way for the association to assist themselves. I work for several HOAs here in town. I work for one of the largest extended stay properties here in town. So our company, we're able to trespass people. We're able to get response. We know Metro's tied up, especially on Friday and Saturday nights. So we are able to get them to come out and help us out when we have these kind of issues. So I do want you to know the association is coming up with a plan themselves of how to do this. I made contact with...
I appreciate your comments. Are we okay? Okay, you have more time.
And I'll send to your site the exact things that we had set up for them to respond to the issues or the complaints.
I thank you very much. Thank you. And by the way, we didn't leave Summerlin out of the ordinance. It just happens they have all the HOAs, and so they control it themselves. that had come up earlier. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman, could I interrupt real fast? If you're coming up to speak and you haven't filled out an orange speaker card, could you grab one that are on the walls right there and be sure to hand it to Jackie, or just put it up here in the corner and we'll pick it up. Thank you.
And I'm going to lose 2 members here if we don't go quickly, so I'm going to have to keep it to 2 minutes and go as fast as we can, okay?
No problem.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Tarkanian and other members of the council, my name is Jim Suter, and I want to thank you for letting me speak briefly today regarding short-term rentals. 5516 Boulder Highway, and I have a business at 7570 Norman Rockwell Lane, and I've been a resident of Las Vegas since 1972. I've raised 2 children here and worked in this wonderful city. I have been admirers of Mayor Goodman and her husband for many years, both for the great things they have done for our city and fighting for the underdog. I have seen many positive changes over the years and very few negative ones. Councilwoman Tarkanian, you and your husband made the sport of college basketball the greatest show in Vegas. The mighty Running Rebels. Now the Raiders are coming to town. We have professional hockey and maybe a pro soccer team in the future. Las Vegas sets the bar for the nation and the world for everything. Positive things are coming to Las Vegas. Fair rules and regs for the responsible short-term rental owners will be a great asset to the city and give our visitors a choice of where to stay. We buy distressed homes. My hard-earned money goes into these projects, enhancing the inside and outside of the home and making positive differences in neighborhoods. I am not going to let my investment be destroyed by undesirable short-term renters. We are only asking for reasonable rules and regulations, short-term rentals for responsible owners like ourselves, and get rid of the bad apples in the STR business. Let's be a leader and example for the reasonable short-term rental owners throughout the nation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That was very good. Thank you.
Good morning, or is it afternoon? I'm Nicole Rose at 1660 South Valdez Street. I'll be brief. I know you got a number of people. First of all, thank you very much for the work you do for the citizens of Las Vegas. I have one short-term rental in the city of Las Vegas. In February of 2016, the city of Las Vegas approved our application for a short-term rental license. We found the process to be reasonable, informative, and fair. This is our first and only short-term rental, and the licensing process provided valuable information that helped us to prepare our property and to establish effective rental protocol. I was so impressed with the city's licensing process that I was surprised to learn that the city was changing the rules. Personally, I feel that the current short-term rental rules are very effective. Therefore, I assume the motivation for changing the rules must be the offenders, must be the complaints. And we heard a number of complaints today, and I would concur with those complaints. I wouldn't want anybody in my neighborhood having a party, and we don't allow that in our property. And we don't allow it because it's not allowed, and that was explained to us by the inspectors who came to our home. We're a nation of laws, and communities establish ordinances in an effort to provide safe and fair living conditions. Typically, we change our laws because offenders negatively impact the community to such an extreme extent that legislators have to take action, and that's why we're here today. I wonder if the right thing to do is to punish the law-abiding citizens, those of us with licenses that abide by the rules. While the violators are the reason we change laws, I sincerely hope that the community will not ignore the law-abiding citizens and those of us with licenses who are providing a much-needed accommodation solution for Las Vegas. We've heard some good stories here today. One lady rented a short-term rental in her neighborhood while her home was being renovated, so that worked for her. It works especially well for families, especially families with a lot of children. Hotels do require a certain number of adults per
Thank you very much.
room.
We've passed
I
our
have one
time.
last thing to say. We would be required to have a special use permit in our home for one reason. We have 4 bedrooms. Special use permit requires parking studies, it requires floor plans. Those services come with the price tag. Architects and attorneys do not work for free. It would be an undue hardship to require a home with 2 bedrooms or more to have a special use permit. You have some individuals in this room who are senior citizens of limited means, who have small homes, who are renting those homes, and they perhaps don't have the money to apply for a special use permit, which also has an additional fee of $1,000 without the assurance of being approved for that special use permit.
You
So
know
I'm
what?
requesting that you
You said you
revisit
were
the
gonna
number
say
of
one more
bedrooms that's
thing.
required for a special
I'm
use permit.
very sorry, we have to ask you to stop now. Let me explain. I'm losing 2 members here. You will not, you're not going to be able to testify. You're going to have to put it in writing on the card, and I promise you that we will read it. At least I can promise
Thank
for
you.
myself. But ma'am, these people have to vote before this is over, and they have to leave soon, so I have to do that. I'm sorry.
That's okay, thank you, I'm done.
Okay, I have for 2 more people, and that's it, and then the rest of you will have to write out for me. Except for the family that has the children, I'll let them come. Okay.
Hello, my name is Dr. Nancy Fallon. My name is Dr. Nancy Fallon. My address is 1501 Montessori Street. I'm a licensed physician, and I have been in practice here for the last 20 years. My 3,100 square foot home is also licensed as a short-term rental in the city of Las Vegas. It used to be my home, but it holds sorrowful memories for me. I was left with a balloon mortgage, and my choices are limited to taking great loss, as it has dropped in value from close to $1 million to $250,000, to leaving it for squatters or trying to rent it out. I chose the latter option, spending more than $80,000 on renovations, while meeting the burden of the $2,800 monthly mortgage payment. After trying to rent it out long-term for 1.5 years through 2 different realtors, I discovered that the market to rent such a large house was virtually non-existent. I even lowered the monthly advertised rent to $500 below the mortgage payment. I was willing to pay the additional $500 a month just to avoid having to either short sell it or move back in. I had to try something else. So in December, I fully furnished the home with plans of starting a short-term rental. My neighbors were informed of this and expressed no concern at the time. I installed a Vivint security system April 1st of this year, and now I can see who comes and goes right on my cell phone. I can see how many people are coming in and out, and I receive alert every time they do. I did this because I do not want large parties, and I do want to follow the rules. The system has a video doorbell and 24-hour camera monitoring of my house and the surroundings. Should my neighbors have a problem, I would gladly open the videotapes to see if I could help in any way. This system is a benefit for the neighborhood and provides security that we did not have when I lived there. I screen all of my guests and only book and accept those who are verified and who have positive reviews. I clearly state on the advertising we do not allow house parties or events, and I do not accept every request for rental. For the first time as of this month, I am now able to pay the mortgage without having to use my own savings.
Thank you very much, but the time's up. I've got to move on. Thank you. Well, the lady with the little girl.
Can I sit her here?
Sure you can.
Sorry. I'll just make it short and sweet. We used to live in California. We would take trips here. My mom was a single mom with 6 kids. We'd have to bring another adult because you can only put so many people in hotel rooms. So when we go anywhere now, we always have to stay in houses. I have 2 kids and 1 more on the way. So for us, we can't stay in hotel rooms anymore. You can't put 5, 6 people in a hotel room. So we definitely support it because it's the only way we can travel and afford it at the same time and be able to get babysitters and still go other places and not leave our kids locked up in a hotel room and allow them to still be in a house. We typically travel with friends too, and we have people travel here to visit us. We can't fit them in our house. They're a family. They don't want to stay in a hotel. They rather visit the Strip without their kids. And so that's a huge reason for us that we know that we need the houses for families to be able to actually just relax and not have to take 3 kids to a buffet because it's the only place to eat. Instead, we can make meals as a family in the house. So that's all.
Thank you very much.
I'm Julie Davies, and I am here. My license that I was granted by the city is in your district, Councilman, and so I am in the downtown area. My license was put into abeyance because of the land use chart not having some boxes checked. So I should be for this proposal. It would make it so my license would be usable. But I cannot, in good conscience, support all of the proposed changes. I'm an expert in lodging management. I've worked in hotels, I've managed big hotels, resorts, and we've also had bed and breakfast inns and short-term rentals in several states. I understand the differences of the different lodging categories and what it is, and I can tell you that if the proposed amendments go through as written, you're going to have some big problems. I understand it, so that's why I'm telling you that. It would be a problem. And I feel like the requirement for SUPs is effectually prohibiting them from renting out full homes. Now, a wise councilman said in a previous meeting that prohibition doesn't work. We know that. If we have prohibitive policies, impossible policies to work within, people will go underground, and that's what they're doing, and it's causing a lot of problems. We don't want party houses. We don't want people that are behaving badly. I don't want the guests in my house. There are ways that when we're practicing short-term rental management in a positive way, and we know what we're doing, we can keep the bad guests out of the neighborhoods. But the problem is when it goes underground or when people are not allowed to have their
Stop you now because the time is up, and I only have one more lady.
Okay.
You know that I believe the city is the only place that's tried to do this. All the others forbid it.
I commend the city for what you're doing, but what the proposal will do is set up prohibition. We don't want that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're there.
Hi, thank you. I actually sent what I wrote to Bob Coffin's email.
Ma'am, you didn't give your name.
Oh, my name is Claire McAllister. I live at 556 Canosa Avenue, 89104.
And I want to tell the others, she can only be a last speaker, so please write out what you have so we can have it.
I'll read it really fast. My name is Claire McAllister. I'm a long-term resident of Las Vegas since 1957 in the same neighborhood. I love Las Vegas and its history. I fully support allowing short-term rental houses in my neighborhood, properly supervised and licensed. I have seen and experienced the positive impact of short-term rentals in the building I used to own part of on my street and in the neighborhood. The building I used to own part of and the rental houses in the neighborhood used to be a problem because some absentee owners habitually rented to drug dealers and unsavory characters. They also let their houses and apartments run down terribly. This was also true of many houses in the neighborhood. Some of the apartments and houses are now Airbnb, which requires that properties be of a much higher standard. If these properties are not constantly kept up, short-term guests will not come. The atmosphere is much more pleasant, both because the rental houses are kept better and because the people they attract are so much more respectful of the properties in the area. The opportunity for Las Vegas residents to supplement their income through this avenue has resulted in renovated properties, nice people experiencing our beautiful historic neighborhoods, and increased property values. I have to supplement my $200 a month Social Security income by rental of my house in order to continue to live in the neighborhood and I have so long called home. The short-term guests are people who want a quiet, private place to stay away from the bustle of the Strip and have been uniformly quiet and respectful. I would like the opportunity to continue to live in my neighborhood. I rent to, for a whole month. I'd like the opportunity, monthly, so that, because long-term tenants have tended to absolutely destroy my property. So I only rent it for a month at a time, but I'd really like the opportunity to rent for shorter periods of time. I never rent to more than 6 people for my 4-bedroom house.
And thank you very much for your
Thank you,
comments.
yeah.
I appreciate them.
I happen to be, I'm 30 feet
I'm sorry,
shy of the special use, and I was told that you never grant special
and I'm
use
sorry that we
anyway.
do not have time for any more speakers. The problems we had in getting into this room and get everything took a lot of time. I cannot lose these two guys, or else we don't have a meeting.
Councilwoman Tarkanian, I would like to ask if anyone that has printed up something that you did not get to say, please bring it up here and we will turn it in here, okay?
That'd be fine.
Thank you.
It needs to have your name and address on the printup.
And now I'm going to quickly move to comments from the members of this committee. Mr. Coffin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I live downtown, and I live in one of those old homes and in an old neighborhood with no HOA to help control the environment. We have the neighborhood associations, but they do not have the force of law. Neither do the historic neighborhoods have the force of law when it comes to trying to vote on, perhaps, as I heard somebody testify. Also, the people in the older part of town, which I represent, all of it, they have their life's investment in that house. I've heard a lot of testimony from people who have invested in their home where they live, but then they have put their life savings, if one would say, or to quote somebody, half their life savings in another house that they could buy to rent. Well, there has been no consideration given here to the people whose entire life savings is in the home that they reside in and have resided in. And I have lived in this downtown city since 1951. In 1957, when the Convention Authority was opened, we were encouraged on the 2 television stations and all the radio stations to let people come into our homes because there were not enough hotel rooms. At that time, there were only maybe 1,500 to 2,000 hotel rooms. Now there are more than 150,000 hotel rooms. People who want to rent a residence and have a good time, and I'm not lumping into everybody into this party house atmosphere, have enough money to pay a lot of money to one of the owners of these homes. But they could also pool it and spend it on a nice suite with a pool in a hotel. They are available. We have plenty of hotel rooms available now. And so there is no emergent lack of rooms, which would be, to me, the primary mover in terms of for the public good of this community. And this is what we're really tasked with here, is the public good, not to make 1 or 2 of you investors happy. We have to consider the hundreds of people that are out there who have not the time, the money, or the ability to come and testify to us today. We have to represent them. So while I hear those of you who are my neighbors, some of you in favor, and some of you are opposed, I will be for this bill for the reasons which I have stated, that there is common sense involved. And so I will be voting for this bill when a motion is made to pass this bill. I will understand and listen to amendments that are proposed by people. We will review these cards. I will listen to I will read written testimony and possibly entertain amendments to this. So many of you have brought up common sense suggestions, but did not submit them to us in writing, with the exception of Joe Locatelli for the Realtors Association, who is a prisoner of Carson City who got out just to visit the hometown today. So that's how we can operate. We cannot operate with verbal amendments tossed at us. We would never get through a meeting which normally lasts 1 hour and is now well over 2 hours. So that's all I'm going to say on the subject until a motion is made, Your Honor. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Mr. Anthony?
Ma'am, do we have permission to send you electronically?
This is not a time for discussion. Public hearing is over. Please, maintain order.
I'm sorry,
Sit down.
was that a yes?
Yes. Yes, send it. You're out of order.
Okay, yeah, because I really would. There's an awful lot of people here that still don't understand. I still don't understand if this is an all or nothing bill the way it's written, or if you're open to suggestion on making some changes. So, yes, you're open to suggestion.
Not in order, I'm sorry.
He is a good legislator, I will tell you. He follows all the rules. I don't follow those rules as well, and I will just tell you, that we will listen. Send it electronically, and we will. And we're trying to be fair. And as he said, if some changes are made or tweaks are made, what did you say, Bob?
Listening.
Oh, you weren't listening, he says, okay. But anyway, fine, we have to move on to Mr. Anthony now. I gave you the answer, yes, send it electronically.
Yeah, I would just like to suggest that you guys are open to allowing some of us to serve with you on this so that we can come up with something that really does work for all of
So
us.
please, I'm being reprimanded here. I have to be a chair, so please, let Mr. Anthony speak.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a bill here today, and there's a bunch of different changes to it. Some of them may be a good idea, some may not be a good idea, some of them I still don't understand. This is really complicated. I have the Realtors Association who's asking to obey this for a couple of 3 weeks to see what the legislature does. I'm just not ready to support or oppose this bill today because there's too much going on.
Thank you.
So if there is a motion to recommend this to the entire city council, I can't support it because I don't know what I'm recommending and I don't know what I support yet. And to tell you the truth, there's a lot of people out there I still wouldn't mind listening to, and I know we can't do that today because we have a dedication that we have to be with. So I'm not ready to move. My vote will not be to move this forward until I have a complete understanding of the motion.
Thank you. And sir, are you open to another meeting before it actually goes to the commission?
Sir, you have to sit down, sir. You are out of order. You can't do that. I'm supposed to be able to speak now. You cannot do that now. I will tell you that I have very strong feelings about short-term rentals because I've been right at the front line. And I just want you to know that even though I have those strong feelings, I'm open to listening to changes. I'm open to making some changes on what we have now. For example, not having that public record, not having the sign in front, considering more the older seniors that need help and things along that line. And I'm open to those changes which could be made, but would have to be made by our city council. So I feel that way, but I also want you to know, I feel very strongly that that land is zoned residential. It is not zoned commercial. And we all know it's business and it's commercial when we go to the short-term rental. We can have short-term rentals that might fit in, but these are things that we have. That's why we're trying to do this, to guard and protect the neighborhoods. And so what I will do is open it up for a motion and let you know that if it does pass, I will go through all the comments that you made, and I will look at them and see how we can work it out and tweak it out. If I feel I need to meet with some of you, I will read all of the other things, and I would be glad to meet. And I want you to know that. We have to try and be very, very fair. So now I ask for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of this ordinance.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion will now move on to the city council.
Yes,
No or not voting?
yeah, I'd like to go down as a no.
I knew that.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I put it on the record.
Yeah, you said it. That's right. So it's on the record, and so it was 2 ayes and 1 no. It will move on to the city council. And our lawyer down there, can you help us? Are we handling this correctly? Val, I just want to make sure.
Yes, if your question is what day it will come up, if it's published this week, it will come up on June 7th for adoption.
June 7th would be the day it would come up. Yes.
Mayor, if I could speak just a second. I would ask the clerk, how long has it been since this bill was published for public comment?
It has not been published as of yet.
which starts
Correct.
the 60-day
I
clock.
just want to make sure that the language is out there quite some time.
The agenda was published.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I will now close the meeting.
You have citizens' participation, one more item.
Oh, citizens' participation? Can I do that with just two of us?
Yes, we still have a quorum with two.
Okay, wait. Those of you who did not get to speak, we will be able to hear about 3 or 4 of you. Do you want to? Community, yes, sir, come forward.
Hi, my name's Stephen Kelzadigan. I live in the Huntridge community.
How long was it
The
published? No.
homes there, I have drug addicts, homeless vagrants that come through my area. It is not the big, homes area, right? I have a small home. I live off of Charleston, and ever
Put the clock
since...
on, please.
I'm sorry?
I've just had to tell her to put the clock on. Go ahead, sir.
Ever since, over the past 18 months, I've seen an improvement. Investors are coming in. They are building these homes to make them habitable. The homeless don't, and the drug addicts stop coming around when nice homes start coming in. This is what short-term rentals are doing for my community. I approve. I do not want any regulations that will stop them. I do want something that will regulate party homes. I don't want a party next to my home, but I haven't had that. I have normal people coming in. I have normal people. Thank you.
And I think that's what we would all would want. Thank you very much, sir. And the next person, please.
My name is Karen Como. I'm actually with Premier Realty Group. I'm a realtor and a property manager. And as far as...
Can you bend down to the mic a little bit?
Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Karen Como. I'm with Premier Realty Group. I'm also a realtor and also a property manager. And as far as property management is concerned, we usually, lease out for long term. But because of the new builds are coming in and there's a lot of buyers that need something just short term because their home is not going to be built until 4 to 6 months, that helps. And also we get a lot of insurance claims that call us because their home is in renovation and they're also needing something where they can't house their dogs and all their children in a hotel. So we're also able to accommodate them. And also in our lease agreement, we also restrict nuisance. We also abide by the association, and we want to make sure that they're not having parties and things like that. Sometimes, unfortunately, long-term clients have problems and we have to evict them, and it's a longer process versus short-term. And so I'm against the bill, in that because that will also stop from people coming into town that are wanting to see how the market is before they purchase or rent here.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is George Anderson. I am the broker-owner of Addicted Realty. I am a licensed Nevada real estate broker, property manager. I'm also licensed by the city of Las Vegas to operate as a broker and property manager. I currently hold, or our brokerage currently holds, 6 short-term residential rental permits. We have been operating for quite some time. In 2007, this year alone, we have had 126 separate bookings. We've had 459 nights rented at our short-term rentals that we're operating legally. During this year alone, we have welcomed 911 occupants in our homes, and we've collected for the city and county $14,000, over $14,000 in room taxes. We are operating legally. Our typical reservation is for a group of 6 to 12 occupants who are looking for an alternative to a smoky casino. Right now, in the Huntridge neighborhood, we have a family that came from France, a husband and wife and their small child. They rented our house for 28 days. They came to adopt a child. They needed they had a new baby coming. They came because they couldn't stay in a casino with the smoky environment and with the noise.
Thank you. Your time is up, sir.
Councilwoman, my name is Ken Calder. I'm also broker-owner with Addicted Realty. I'd like to let you know...
Sir, can you just stop 1 minute?
Yeah,
we are
sorry.
losing another person here. I am going to listen to all of you. Can we just keep recording it? All right, then we can't keep recording it, but I can listen to all of you.
I would appreciate that.
But I will have to adjourn the meeting of the full committee. All right, go ahead.
Councilwoman Tarkanian, I'd like to let you know that all of our properties are legally operated properties. They're all 4 bedrooms. If you were to change this to a special use permit for anything other than a 2-bedroom with a manager, this would effectively shut down all of our properties. The proposed zoning requirements shifting from residential areas to commercial areas will remove the primary appeal that we offer to our guests, the ability to stay like a local. Our operating has contributed to the local economy. The property owners that we represent have contributed more than $2 million in purchasing short-term rental properties here in Las Vegas City. Some paid cash, others have used financing for their purchase. Each house has at least $25,000 in furnishings, decorations, and supplies. These also locally generating over $12,000 in additional sales tax. There's also the infusion of money that the 911 guests that we've helped this year that have fed themselves and kept themselves occupied through our local entertainment and restaurants. We attract guests to come to Las Vegas to stay for multiple reasons, as my partner said. We would like you to simply focus on simplifying the regulations and encouraging lawful operation. Las Vegas is a world-renowned city, and our clients, as well as all the tourists coming here in the millennial generation, do expect this type of lodging. They like to be able to get on a phone, hop in an Uber, and go let themselves into the house. We hope that you'll consider, as you did with Uber and with Lyft, the possibilities of all the income generating that this will bring into our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, would you do that, please, sir? Put your names and your contact information because it's not being recorded right now.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman. How are you?
I'm not quite here today.
My name is Kamei McClure. I'm a new resident to Las Vegas. I'm completing my bachelor's degree, going on to law school, hopefully at William S. Boyd. I want to be an advocate for the people here, the city of Las Vegas. There's a lot of culture in the local community of Las Vegas. We have the Strip. It's the city known for entertainment. It's a city that people come from all over the world to enjoy the entertainment and the culture that Las Vegas has to offer. Short-term rentals give people from around the world an opportunity to come into the communities of the local people and see the rich culture of the families and the communities that are here. Being a legal professional myself, I understand licensing, I understand following the rules. I understand that the city ordinances are extremely important. What we have here is an issue with...
minutes. Excuse me, we don't have the clock on. Can we have the clock even?
The issue that we have here in the city of Las Vegas with short-term rentals, we have bad apples in the bunch, Councilwoman, and we as a city and as a community, we need to address the people that are not licensed, that are not running a professional business, that are not following the rules. And I think the city and the council members really need to focus their attention on the ones who are breaking the rules. The people who are running a business, who are licensed. You made a comment about, a homeowner making a lot of money. The city is certainly making a considerable amount of money with license fees and these special use permits and the prices that are involved with licensing these businesses. So I don't think this is a matter of money, Councilwoman. I think this is a matter of having people who are not following the rules, who are not abiding by the law and the city ordinances, and I think that the city should focus on those and those only. Thank you.
I'd like to tell you that for probably 10 years, we've been trying to do exactly what you said. And each time we've tried and tried and tried, and this seems to be our best way. Bring it out openly, get everybody licensed, and try and do that. So we are trying.
And I think the city needs to continue to focus on the bad apples, on the complaints, on the homes that are not licensed, that are not registered. If the city gets a complaint on a property that's having a party, then the city should focus their attention
But you see,
and their ordinances
we can't do
there.
anything to those who break the rules unless we have something like the SUP. That gives us some authority to do some things.
You need to grant the SUPs.
Huh?
You need to give the SUPs, if that's what the city's proposing.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. But anyway, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman.
Good afternoon. My name is Janelle Mazza, 1301 South 6th Street. Just want to say firstly that it's quite a support and quite a bit of enthusiasm that we have for short-term property rental. Just want to say thank you to all the voices of the city and the county for making their voices be known. On this subject in particular, I'll speak on behalf of Vacation Rentals Association. Once you acquire a special use permit or the 660 feet separation, you've basically shut down the 2 bedrooms or more units, and visitors are left with the hotel rooms and timeshares to use as accommodations. There's no turning back from the short-term or the special use permit. Neighborhoods that had no idea that a short-term property rental existed on that street will now become aware. And why is that an issue? Because no one has even known about the short-term property rentals in many neighborhoods because they've been operating very well, and it will cause them to become aware and file complaints that are unwarranted. This will affect the privacy of the future guests, to say nothing about the investment the owners made in the property, which was previously licensed and in good standing, and now they would find themselves operating illegally when they just want to pay their mortgage. So we're advocating that there are licenses, there are regulations, that we pay room tax, and that there, when necessary, are fines, but that we, again, keep the good homeowners and the business owners that are operating within respect of their community and good standing, and allow for those businesses to operate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aha,
Madam Chair, can you hear me like this?
I can.
It's a lot better than me bending over like
But you
that.
have to write down, yeah, well, we already have yours.
So
Yes.
I just want to make this real quick. In the interest of clarity, there are some others that came up here and said that they're realtors, and that's all fine. However, I am the only one today, Joe Locatelli, that's speaking on behalf of the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. So I just wanted to make that clear that my statements are for the association.
Right.
Other statements might be independent.
More
so-
personal, right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And sir?
All right. I just want to thank you for staying and listening to these comments. Your open-mindedness is really appreciated.
I'm trying.
So thank you. My name's Marco, and I operate a short-term, a 30-day rental in the city. And that's because of my neighbors. And this is actually really hard to watch, neighbor against neighbor. It's tearing apart my own neighborhood. So, like I say, you're open-minded, and that's appreciated. But I think we're actually all on the same page. We agree that regulation is important, that all these things are important. The only issue is, as you heard now again and again, is the special use permit. If you see it from the perspective of someone who's investing in the neighborhood, I literally have to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars before I even know if this is a possibility. That's a giant gamble. So I'd like to see if we could work together on some middle ground between the SUP and the conditional uses that the business licensing has. I think what business licensing has is a very good structure. If we could kind of work from that to include city council, whatever we can do to avoid that ginormous bar that puts all of our investments at risk. So